All right, folks, we are back on The Weight Concept presented by The Ring Magazine, and today we are taking a look at what is being called unfinished business, although the business does seem to be finished. The rematch of Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, although Chris Eubank Jr. clearly won the first fight, so I'll call it business is reopening between these two. This will be Eubank versus Benn number 4. The fathers fought twice. The sons are now fighting twice. A middleweight fight for November 15th. And this is one of the most watched fights in the UK, especially of the year. This was a great fight between two guys that were in a knockdown, drag-out, slobber knocker, back and forth. Chris Eubank Jr. took the win and dug super deep, was an absolute DAWG dog in the first fight, and needed to be, because Conor Benn looked a lot better than I think people realized he would at 160 pounds. Normally, he's at 147, came up, but unfortunately for him, his inexperience, his lack of technique, and just him winging shots was his undoing. Eubank Jr. took him to school in those last 5 to 6 rounds, and it was amazing in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We're ready to do it again in just over a month and a half and some change. But today they're doing the first press conference for this rematch, and we have to take a look because things got spicy. Things got downright disrespectful, and accusations that came out of this are absolutely wild. What do I mean? The breakdown. Let's go.
He is the star of W.A.D.E Concept.
Conor Benn. He's back at 160 pounds. Now, I was told, or I guess I saw online, Conor wore this Manchester City jersey in honor of the late, great Ricky Hatton, who just recently passed away. Obviously super unfortunate, and just something that no one anticipated. Is really a tragic day for the sport of boxing and the entire UK. It's just awful. All of it is awful. I send my condolences to his family, to his close ones. Make sure you guys all say a prayer. This was a nice touch from Conor Benn. And again, we're going to get into some stuff in just a second that I thought was super tasteless. But let's just first and foremost, and I think they actually did a nice tribute as well in this press conference, but I just wanted to make sure I say, obviously, rest in peace to the legend.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Eubank Jr.
There he is. That Louis Vuitton.
So let's hear from the fighters. Firstly, a quick word from Chris Eubank Jr. Chris, when you think back to April...
I'd like you to address Conor first. I think I'm just interested to hear what he's got to say.
Okay, as you wish.
Hey, I have a feeling I'm going to say this a lot in this video. To the victor goes the spoils, all right? So, in the first fight, you saw Chris Eubank Jr. perform absolute masterclass in these press conferences. He was dancing around Eddie Hearn and Conor Benn. He was holding court. He was going on monologues, which I expect today. But now that he's won, he's going to up it to the next level. And he starts right away by going like, yeah, you know, I appreciate you coming to me first, but I want to hear what Conor Benn has to say. After all that talking before the first fight, after all the stuff that was said about how he was going to knock me out in 3 or 4 rounds, and after the whole egging and exaggerating and all that, what's he got to say now after I won? What's he got to say? This is what the victor gets. When you do a rematch, somebody already won. Somebody's already gotten ahead of the game. And that's Chris Eubank Jr.
Conor Benn. Conor, how has the reality been for you, and what have you perhaps learned about yourself since April?
Yeah, listen, I mean, it's always hard processing a loss. Nobody prepares to lose. You know, as fighters, we want to do our best, but ultimately we want to get the victory at all costs. You know, it's taught me a lot. It's taught me a lot about myself. I want to go back to the drawing board and work and learn, gain experience, and experience was gained. So no doubt, November 15th, you get a better version.
There is no doubt about it that Conor Benn has a lot more to learn. By the way, I just realized he's got a face tattoo. He did not have that the last time I saw him. Here's the thing. I like Conor Benn. And I know that's not going to win me any fans in this back and forth, because I also like Chris Eubank Jr. But I got to interview Conor Benn almost, I think it was the weekend after, or the week of the next fight week in New York. He came out to the Ryan Garcia-Rolly Romero fight. And I got to tell you guys, he looked like he was handling the loss well. I know that, you know, it's tough. You never know what's going on internally with people. But he didn't have a scratch on him. He sat through that interview like it was just another thing. And I think that he had gotten a decent enough reception, at least in America, from fight fans because of his performance. Because he went toe-to-toe, because he swung it out, he dogged it out. And this is what I keep saying about pro boxing right now and why best fighting the best, or at least matchups we want to see, entertaining matchups being more important than belts, being more important than, you know, a win and a loss in some cases. I still believe, obviously, wins and losses mean something, but it's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the road. I think that's what Conor Benn and other fighters see, is that when they take risks, and when Chris Eubank took a risk as well, you see the fans rally around that. You see them almost support you more because the loss is only as bad as your performance sometimes in the fight. At least that's the way I look at it, and that's why I enjoy this being a rematch, even though I would have loved to have seen Chris Eubank do something else at 168 potentially, and Conor Benn fight, you know, whoever at 147, maybe a Ryan Garcia, both coming off losses. That would have made sense. But this is why I'm okay with the rematch, because they both leave it in the ring, win or loss.
Has your opinion on Conor Benn changed since the first fight, as a person, as a fighter? Do you respect him more than you did then?
What a crazy, crazy world we live in today.
Just remember, the question was, do you respect Conor Benn as a person or a fighter more now after the first fight than you did? Because I have a feeling Chris Eubank Jr. is not going to say a word about that. Just going to say whatever he wants here.
14 years and 38 fights of people loving to hate me. But, you know, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but from what I'm seeing online nowadays and the interactions I'm having with, you know, people all over the world in the streets, I don't know if I'm that guy anymore. It's not just boxing fans that are approaching me now. It's little girls, elderly folk, housewives, people that really have nothing to do with boxing. And they are all, you know, they're all greeting me and they're all wishing me the best of luck.
First off, yeah, this is exactly what I thought would happen. Chris is not going to say a single word about the question he was asked. But look at Eddie. Eddie's like, what is he talking about? Conor is already like, fuck this, dude. What is he saying? Like, no one's paying attention, and he's just in full monologue mode. I love it.
Now, the funny thing is, if you speak to this side of the table, Eddie Hearn will tell you, as he told the world after the fight, that Conor Benn is, in fact, the people's champ. I mean, wow. That is, that's incredible. Conor Benn, you did it, huh, kid? The people's champ.
All right, so I kind of wondered coming into this, are we going to be a little more respectful with each other? Is this going to be more of like a copacetic, hey, we went to war, we shed blood, there's a bit of respect there? The answer is no. I mean, I'm sure there is competitive respect, but the answer as far as like, are they going to be nicer this time around, is no.
One thing I know for sure is that, you know, Conor Benn, he put on a great fight. He went out there and he did what I did not expect him to do. But, you know, I'm going to tell you right here and now, you ain't no champ. And you most definitely ain't no people's champ, so get that out of your head. You keep letting Eddie Hearn blow smoke up your ass and you're going to end up being even more of an embarrassment than he is.
Ooh, my Lord!
These men are not men of the people. They are pretending. They're pretending to be the good guys. Wolves in sheep's clothing, if you will. They did everything they could to try and destroy me in this last fight. Contract breaches, fines, rehydration clauses, sabotage weigh-in, biased commentary and refereeing. Oh my God. The list goes on. It's endless.
All right, so just quickly, I didn't listen to the commentary because Jordy and I were doing our own show. I don't know about the bias that was in the commentary or the refereeing. I'm not exactly sure what happened there. But he also accuses Eddie, I assume. He said the people on the other side. I guess he means Eddie when he talks about like the sabotaged weigh-ins, which I do remember. I don't know what happened with the weigh-in, but that Chris missed weight by 0.05 or something like that. Or 0.5, half a pound? I don't know what it was. And they fined him $500,000. But that wasn't an Eddie Hearn thing, I don't think. I think that was the British Boxing Board of Control, which was crazy to fine him that amount of money for it. But then he made rehydration weight, which again, I'm not a fan of rehydration clauses. I think they're very detrimental to someone's health. But Eubank Jr. did sign a contract that allowed them to do that. So, you can complain about it, and rightfully so, but just know that it's something that you agreed to do. You know what I'm saying?
Even on fight night, they blocked my team from coming to the stadium for 30 minutes. And then when I arrive, they have security walking in front of my car, trying to slow me down and stall me as much as possible to make me late.
I've never heard so much waffle
It's okay.
in all my life.
You're going to hear a lot more.
No, but I was,
You're going to hear a lot more. It's incredible.
This does sound a little crazy. Again, this could be mind games, and it probably is, just trying for Chris Eubank Jr. just to try to wind up Eddie Hearn and Conor and get them all out of sorts. And if that's the case, he's probably going to be successful. But there's a certain line you can't really, like, the accusations are getting pretty specific. Talking about, like, having security guards walk in front of his van and delay this, delay that, sabotage this. I'm trying to look at this from an unbiased perspective. I don't know how Eddie would do any of that. So again, it could just be completely, and it probably is, Chris Eubank Jr. just winding him up. But you got to be careful how far you go with that, because we know in this game, especially Frank Warren, doesn't play around with that stuff. Frank Warren will light you up and take you to court over claims made against Queensberry and himself. And if you guys remember, way back I think it was last year, Eubank Jr. said something about Frank Warren being a scumbag, and he immediately put the kibosh on that. He was like, what? You sure? And it was a tense situation, we'll just say. But Chris, he's going to go right up to that line and sometimes maybe step over just to poke Eddie and to get him all out of sorts.
After the fight, due to severe dehydration, I'm put in an ambulance and I have to go to hospital. I was actually so dehydrated that one of the toenails on my big toe fell off. It actually fell off. It's grown back about halfway now. But anyway, I'm in this ambulance.
Jesus, not a toenail.
I'm in the ambulance.
Not a toenail. I like the gamesmanship going back and forth here. This is 100% who can control the narrative of this press conference. You're seeing it in real time. You're seeing the mind games in real time. I don't know if Chris Eubank Jr. lost his toenail because of dehydration. I don't even know if that's a thing that can happen. But I have lost a toenail before, and that shit does fucking hurt.
You still got it?
These scumbags blocked that ambulance from leaving the stadium for 20 minutes.
By the way, this is an interesting. Keep going, because this is all being noted. Because
20
it's
minutes.
Absolute waffle.
20 minutes.
Waffle.
Locked in.
Waffle.
I'm laying there in a gurney, oxygen mask on, and the car cannot move. They will not open the gates to let us leave. Now,
Who won't open the gates?
Now, if this was a serious injury that I had sustained, that 20 minutes...
Chris, I want to know who wouldn't open the gates. It's important.
That 20 minutes...
You can't answer that, can you?
Could have been the difference between life and death.
You talk shit, you do.
And while this was all happening...
That is okay. This is what I was talking about when I said these things can become a little bit, you can go a little too far with this. Chris Eubank Jr. is alleging that Eddie Hearn, I assume Matchroom, somehow stopped him from leaving the event, somehow had control of the gates in and out of Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and held him up for 20 minutes. And he's insinuating that if it was a more severe injury than just dehydration, that they would have been responsible for the difference between life and death. This is what I was talking about when I said you can only go so far with that kind of stuff. I don't know how stuff in the UK works versus in the US, but libel and slander, I feel like, he's essentially saying that they wouldn't let him leave and go get treatment. Like they were preventing him on purpose from getting medical aid. That is crazy to say. And I can't believe that's true at all. Like that one, the whole toenail thing maybe, but that one you can't even okay, buddy. No shot that's true. But again, Chris is walking right over that line right now. And Eddie, he said it. He said, listen, I'm making sure you get held accountable for this. It's funny, but at some point, you have to be like, all right, you can't just allege everything and say outright that they're the ones doing it. That's crazy.
Conor Benn and Eddie Hearn are in here talking to the media, lying about how I had a broken jaw and that was the reason why I was going to hospital. Bullshit artists of the highest degree.
Chris, can we get one thing clear? Can you just
Absolute
can you just confirm that you are accusing
Yes,
us?
I am.
Matchroom?
Or yes.
Okay, say it.
Wow.
You guys
Say
blocked
it.
me from
Say
getting
it.
out.
Say it.
You know, because
Matchroom.
who else? Who else
Okay.
would have been?
Go on, say it.
Why was
Say
I?
it.
Why was I in an ambulance? for
Say
20
that
minutes?
Matchroom
Why was
stops
I
you from
in-
going to the
Why
hospital.
was I what? So you can try and sue me with your little lawyer?
Not at all. Don't worry about that. I
Okay.
think you're talking about
Stop
the wrong guy.
interrupting me. You're not
Say
even-
it.
What? Was that a shot at Jake Paul?
Eddie, the last time you were up here, you were talking about how famous and popular you were, even more famous than me.
No, that's impossible. You're the people's champ.
What? But you said it.
No, you're
said you were
you're
even
getting
more
stopped
famous
by
than me.
grannies and children who are
am.
throwing themselves at you like you're the Pope. It's incredible.
that's absolutely
And even with half a toenail.
But
I can't believe it.
the fact
But
of
that's
the matter
interesting.
is-
The fact is,
the fact
you
of the matter
telling us
is-
we
This is what I thought it would be. This has become the Chris Eubank Jr. versus Eddie Hearn show. And you know what? This time around, Eddie is actually giving it back to him a little bit. Like Chris is, doing the thing where he's like, Eddie's a scumbag and here's why. Some of that stuff kind of crazy. But Eddie is giving it to him a little bit. This build up to this fight is going to be insane. I just hope that Conor gets a word in edgewise because he's the one fighting. I know Eddie is probably one of the best talkers and promoters in boxing, but Conor got to say something too. Conor got to, you know what I'm saying? He got to get in there. He's the one that's going to be fighting. On fight night, it's going to be him and Chris Eubank Jr.
Conor, quick one to you. Has your opinion changed on Chris Eubank Jr.?
I mean, I take my hat off to him, because you need a dancing partner, and he was that for me. Did I underestimate him? I did. I genuinely thought I'd knock him out 3-4 rounds on my heart. Chris, shut up, mate. That's what.
You know, this was the first time in my life that I've ever seen a fighter lose and then go on some type of victory tour. This guy.
No, there was
this
no
guy
victory.
was
There
going
was
to
no- there was no-
events.
there was no
he was
victory
doing
tour.
interviews.
Listen, we were
buying cars.
Chris, no, that was your car that you gave me. That was the 500 grand for your unprofessionalism that gave me
it
that
was.
car.
You flew over to America. You're taking pictures of people. Oh, I'm so grateful for the love and the support
blessed.
the fans are
I'm
showing
blessed.
me. You're going on like you won. You do understand you lost, right?
Do you want me to finish?
He had all 10 toenails,
You
have
do
it?
understand you lost, right? I mean,
He had all 10 toenails, though. Now, I didn't look at it as Conor Benn doing a victory tour. Now, him buying the car and everything and flexing on Chris after Chris missed weight, that was kind of crazy. But at the same time, they all knew they were going to have a rematch, and Conor, I think, felt well about how he did. He felt like even if he lost the fight, he damaged up Chris Eubank Jr. big time in that fight. And he didn't have a lot of damage on himself. Again, I interviewed him 3 days later. I guess I was a part of the victory tour. I interviewed him like 3 or 4 days later, and he looked fine. But I will say, again, to my point earlier, I felt like both men got accepted more. Chris Eubank Jr. was accepted as the people's champion that night, for sure. And in the UK, he was the hero of that night. But Conor Benn, I thought, earned a lot more respect back that he may have lost from the PED incident, from all of the things that came with that, and having to reschedule this fight. I think he earned a lot of respect back. Maybe not all of it, certainly not all of it, and there's definitely people that don't like him still, and maybe never will. But the way he fought that night, I thought earned a lot of respect. Both men.
I was ready.
Illusion of
Well,
this guy.
listen, Chris. The reality is, while you were sipping food for a straw, I was back in the gym after the fight, ready for September 20th. Why was you not ready? We was locked in September 20th. So if you want to talk about a little tour, I was training meanwhile. What were you doing?
I was living life, my friend.
Exactly.
dance
So what you
to the
just said,
tunes of any
stupid.
man.
What you
I
just
don't
said,
care that
stupid.
you were ready.
Listen. I don't care. Ultimately, we fight November 15th, mate. And yeah.
That was a nasty line from Conor Benn. He said, while you were sipping fruit through a straw after our fight, I was back training. Again, he did lose, and Chris Eubank Jr. did win, but that's a nasty line. And it talks about, again, I don't know if that's sipping through the straw, whatever. But it does lend to my point that Chris Eubank Jr. won the battle. He won the fight. But Conor Benn, with a rematch clause in place, might have, we'll see, again, because Bomac now is in the corner of Chris Eubank Jr., but he might have won the war. The way he damaged up Chris Eubank Jr., he's not a young guy. He is going to have to cut all that weight again. And maybe the skills will pay the bills the same way in the second fight as they did in the first. And Conor Benn just doesn't have the skills, just isn't the skill level of Chris Eubank, plus the weight. That might have an effect. I mean, we're turning this fight around in the same year. It may have an effect. And more of the damaging shots were landed by Chris Eubank Jr. But the more damaging shots, notice there's a difference there. The more damaging shots were landed by Conor Benn in that fight. More of them were landed by Eubank Jr., but the more damage was landed by Conor Benn. But again, Chris Eubank gets to talk that talk. He's like, yeah, you were getting ready. I was living life. That's what winners get to do. They kind of do set the precedent. They get to determine when they want to come back. And that's what Chris Eubank gets for winning.
In all the fights that I promoted with Chris, that rematch against Liam Smith was the most focused, was the most dedicated, was the best Chris Eubank Jr. I have seen. And I think Chris will be doing it in even more emphatic fashion on November 15th.
Congratulations, Bomac. I mean, the performance Terence put on against Canelo the other day was exceptional. So congratulations to you and the Terence Crawford team. Everyone give it up for him.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Bomac joining this team changes almost everything for this fight. And again, Chris Eubank Jr. has really never stayed consistent with a trainer, and somehow he's able to be successful doing that. I don't even know how that's possible. But it does add a lot to this camp. It adds a lot of technique, a lot of skill, a lot of mastery of distance, timing, everything else that Chris already has. But with a commander-in-chief in the corner, Bomac versus Tony Sims, and all that wealth of knowledge, man, Chris was already, I thought, technically better, clearly, than Conor Benn. This is going to add so much.
Despite the setback for Conor Benn in April, what do you believe changed about the way he is seen within the boxing world?
Well, just firstly, Jamie, obviously, just a couple of... You might... Just going to say 30 seconds about Ricky Hatton.
No, there's no 30
Chris, 1 second.
You know the drill.
Chris.
You know the drill. I'm not going to say...
You are some arsehole, you are.
Anything you say.
Okay, then don't listen to any...
I'm a bad guy.
No.
I'm in this.
All I was going to do was say a few words about Ricky Hatton.
Okay,
I won't say anything about...
Move on with the press conference.
You're an arsehole. You talk shit. You get what's coming to you. It doesn't matter. You can do that.
We know
anyway,
the drill. Let's move on.
Okay.
You know what? I want to talk about something else. Forget Eddie. I want to talk about the British Boxing Board of Control.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. This is a terrible look for Chris for a couple of reasons. Number one, Eddie Hearn, I guess, wanted to say like a quick thing about Ricky Hatton, which, again, I think everybody in the UK at this moment, their hearts mourn for Ricky Hatton. And if Eddie wanted, I know they already did the tribute. If Eddie wanted to say something, just a personal anecdote to commemorate the life and honor Ricky, that would have been something I think that would have been appropriate because of the recent passing. Chris, he didn't obviously know that Eddie was going to start that way, but he also did this the entire first time around with Eddie, where he wouldn't let him talk. Now, I've seen some people online saying, oh, well, this was Eddie's way of trying to make Chris look bad. I've never known Eddie to be that kind of guy to try to use Ricky Hatton's recent death to try to make Chris Eubank Jr. look bad by starting his, whatever he was going to say with, let me just say this about Ricky Hatton, so Chris would interrupt him. I think we're going too deep to look at it that way. I just think Chris didn't realize what Eddie was either saying to begin with, but then Eddie said it a couple times, and he said, I just want to say a quick thing about Ricky Hatton, and Chris Eubank continuing to interrupt him. That's not a great look. Again, I don't know if he heard Eddie was saying the stuff about when he was like, hey, I just want to say this about Ricky, and then you can do whatever you want to do. But Chris, he's got to drop the act just for a second, right? You do need to show some damn respect for Ricky Hatton in that moment, and that's what Eddie was trying to do. So I don't rate that from Chris Eubank Jr. I don't like that. And then we had a tweet come out after where Matchroom tweeted, Eddie Hearn tries to say a few words about Ricky Hatton with the shrug face. And Chris Eubank Jr. underneath it says, imagine trying to use Ricky Hatton's passing as a way to try and get to talk at a press conference. New low from Hearn here. I apologize on Eddie's behalf. Awesome tribute to Ricky at the start of the presser, though. He really was a legend. Thoughts and prayers are with his family. Again, you're still playing games here. I cannot rate this at all. I think this is Chris thinking that Eddie is playing games with him, so he's going to play games back, right? Where he's like, oh yeah, they already did the presser tribute, great, awesome tribute at the start of the presser, but Eddie is trying to use him to get a word off in a press conference. Again, I'm not sure how close Eddie Hearn was to Ricky Hatton, but either way, that was not a great look for Chris Eubank Jr. there. Even if Eddie wasn't being sincere, even if it was just to get a word off edgewise at the press conference, the fact that you're not letting him do that when it's about Ricky Hatton, that just doesn't look good for him.
Robert Smith. This is the big boss behind the scenes. the head honcho, the man with all the power that controls everything that goes on in professional boxing inside of the United Kingdom.
Jeez.
This guy's a big deal. He really is. Now, this idiot allowed a room full of media and cameramen into my private weigh-in the day before the fight.
Is this when you were sabotaged again?
The time that it took to get these people out contributed to me missing the weight.
Chris, you turned up over an hour late.
And getting fined 500K.
You turned up over an hour late.
So now Chris is calling, I assume, the head of the British Boxing Board of Control, Robert Smith, an idiot, and saying that them allowing, I guess he's referring to Matchroom's cameras, to come into his locker room while he was trying to weigh in. I'm pretty sure he did show up over an hour late. I'm not sure what the reasoning was for that. But anyway, all of that stuff, he's now going after the British Boxing Board of Control, which I know doesn't play lightly because they handed down a $500,000 fine for him missing weight. So again, respect, I guess, for speaking your truth, but you might want to fight your battles here, Chris. I don't know what kind of enemies you want to make, but it's certainly not the people that are trying to sanction your fight.
He personally escorted an arch nemesis of mine, Billy Joe Saunders, to my changing room.
So boring.
To disrupt and try and ruin my preparations for the biggest fight of my life.
Look at Eddie. Now, again, I don't know why. If you guys remember, this was a story as well, and some of this stuff that I'm starting to remember, Chris Eubank Jr. is telling the truth on. Why was Billy Joe Saunders even close to Chris Eubank Jr.'s locker room that night? I remember there was like, oh, he's going to be there to inspect the gloves, but you have to be an accredited part of the corner, I'm pretty sure, of your opponent to come in and inspect gloves or inspect hand wraps. It might have been hand wraps. Billy Joe Saunders was none of those things. So I'm kind of on Chris's side with that one. What was the point of having Billy Joe Saunders come into the locker room other than to cause a distraction? Mind game, sure, but like that one didn't make any sense.
I think he is in the back pockets of Matchroom.
Wow. Another one that's got it in for you.
Absolutely.
You are so unlucky with everything.
So
I mean,
unfortunately, just another scumbag in this.
Oh wow, you're calling the chairman of the British Boxing Board of Control a scumbag.
We find ourselves in.
The mask is slipping, Christopher.
So in my eyes, the money that I was being fined should be going to the community. Should be going to kids that can't afford equipment. It should be going to local gyms. The money should be going to fighters who have suffered injuries, medical bills. But as far as I can see it, that's not happening. The money simply seems to be lining the pockets of fat cats on the board, like Robert Smith. Don't worry, Ben. It's okay.
Ben Shalom is like, yo, you gotta chill. We gotta answer this stuff, bro. They still have to approve your fight. And again, there are some accusations flying right here, and I don't know. That seems pretty severe to ask that kind of stuff. And again, maybe he's right. Maybe there is some massive conspiracy about where this money goes. I would assume, I don't know, that it's reinvested into the work that the British Boxing Board of Control has to continue doing. I don't know, though. It's like asking where my taxes go. I have no fucking idea. I just hope that it goes to the right places and that it helps me out in the future by funding things that make my life easier. I don't know, though. Asking some questions here, Chris.
Just been informed in my ear a special message from His Excellency Turki Al Sheikh, who says that Eddie Hearn is more popular than Chris Eubank Jr. because he has his own Netflix documentary.
That's good news. Chris can watch that tonight. 6 episodes.
Yeah. We all know about that, how you're postering me all over your trailers.
Yeah.
HE called in to tell the presenter that Eddie was more popular. Listen, HE is always looking to find ways to stir a little bit more of that beef, to turn the screw just a little bit more and get these guys riled up. I don't mind it. I actually think it adds a little bit to these press conferences. That's a nice little one-liner. He knew Eddie was going to jump all over that. Immediately promoted when it was out. I got to watch it, by the way, but okay, HE getting in the mix.
Yeah.
The guy that doesn't deserve to be here, and you're using me in all your trailers.
I know.
It's okay.
You made me a lot of money in that documentary.
One thing you're not going to do is promote that.
One thing was amazing, that we got the People's Champ.
So
we got 6 episodes, 5 hours of working where you can pull your plonker off in Brighton all night to that. You'll be loving it.
A scumbag promoter uses other fighters.
Blocks
to propel
ambulances,
yourself into the limelight.
loses
You're
toenails,
so
everything.
famous. You talk more than your fighters do. Look at you.
That's my job.
Conor hasn't said a word.
He don't want to say it because he's bored listening to you about Robert
It's an
Smith moaning like a
embarrassment.
baby as the mask
Yeah,
slips.
I'm talking,
Jamie,
because
over to you.
otherwise if I
I'm
don't
talking.
talk,
Be quiet.
you sit and
shut
talk.
your mouth down there.
And
You.
nobody wants to hear you talk. No one wants to hear
Netflix.
about
It's
you.
out now.
Your
Enjoy the
Netflix
episodes.
special. Yeah,
Thank you.
No one's going to watch it, mate. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Eddie got a little bit heated with him, just a little bit. Both guys are saying that each other is the fake nice guy. Both guys are saying that the other one is hiding what they really are and trying to play up a character. It's almost a Spider-Man meme with these two at this point.
What was the difference between the pair of you, Chris, in your own words? What was Conor's undoing in April?
I'm a better fighter than them. They keep talking about weights. He hasn't fought at welterweight for nearly 4 years. How many times did you hear Terence Crawford talking about the weight divisions he's coming up, fighting Canelo, who's fought at light heavyweight?
Facts.
And there was no rehydration clauses in that fight.
Facts.
So it's pretty embarrassing the amount of times that these guys consistently talk about weight.
I will say, the more that I think about that fight, the fact that Terence came up to 168, didn't ask for a rehydration. Again, Canelo's not a big 168-pounder, so I get it. He's a dog for that, though, man. I know that I've said it before, and I said it during the fight, and I said it after the fight, but just it's insane to watch him just go, yeah, I'll do that, and have that kind of performance at Canelo's weight, where he's the undisputed champ. Stupid.
When I had him hurt in there, I mean, he's going to say I didn't have him hurt. When I thought I had him hurt, you know, I was just too greedy in there, looking for the headshot.
Did you guys see that? I'm sorry, I know I keep pausing, but do you see the Conor is like doing this thing where, and I don't know if that it's even conscious, but he's doing this thing where he worries almost about what Chris Eubank Jr. is going to say about what he said, and then reframes it before Eubank Jr. even brings it up. I think that's how Chris Eubank Jr. is winning these mental games. He has gotten Conor Benn in his head so much that anytime he says something, he's like, oh, well, Chris is going to say that I didn't do that, so let me correct it. Correct it, why? Just say what you feel. If you think you hurt him, yeah, I had him hurt. He can say whatever he wants. I know when I looked in his eyes, he was glossed over and he wasn't there. The noodle legs were going crazy. Instead of like, well, he's going to say it, so I might as well correct it ahead of time. That's the middle game that's going on, and that's why Chris Eubank is winning those middle games.
Game plan went out the window as soon as I hit him in the third round. It was a matter of, it felt like I was always one punch away from closing the show. And I was looking for that one punch.
What makes you laugh, Chris, when you hear that?
Old and vulnerable, and this old man's talking about he wobbled me 4 or 5 times.
Well, you just got to watch it. You just got to watch the fight. You just got to watch the fight. At no stage did you hurt me in there.
The delusion of these guys. It's
Well, just watch it. It's not delusion if you can physically see it, Chris.
breathtaking. It really is. You know, yes, you caught me with a few shots.
Let's be clear. Conor did hurt him and wobble him with at least 2 or 3 shots in the fight. On 2 or 3 separate occasions, I think it was 2, Conor Benn hit him with punches that did make him wobble. His feet, his legs were loose. He was on his feet, and he was still conscious, and he was still in the fight, but he was hurt. But what Chris is doing here, and it's genius, he's making Conor question his own eyes, question his own belief in what happened in the first fight. Even though the physical evidence is out there, he's still playing the mind game to be like, okay, man, whatever you think, Conor. Yeah, no, sure, you wobbled me, Conor, whatever you think. And he kind of like snickers and laughs and drops that like confidence, like, yeah, okay, that's what you think, cool. And it just is a little seed of doubt, just a little bit. I don't know if he's doing it on purpose, but I think that's genius.
I feel flattered that you brought Bomac in because I know you need it. And he's a great coach. You're a great coach, Bomac, and I've got love for you, mate, but you can't polish a turd. Apologies.
One sentence prediction, Conor, just fine.
Can't polish a turd. Okay, Conor, talk your shit. That's what we want to hear, man. Although, again, I don't know what that makes Conor because he lost to Eubank Jr. So, is he like diarrhea? I don't know.
And for you, Chris, final sentence, what happens in the rematch? How do you do it?
Again, the parliamentary will be the procedure.
Oh no! He was doing so well. He was doing so well, and he's always been perfect with that's the signature family line. You can't mess that one up. He said the parliamentary will be procedure. No!
Will be the procedure.
The master's gone.
Chris,
The master will be the matador.
from
This man will be the bull.
Thank you for your TED talk, Chris. This has been a pleasure.
He will be running around that
You've had a
ring
stinker.
trying to employ all the new techniques. And, I don't want to go out there and wear my heart on my sleeve and win my punches, so I'm going to box and we're going to have this strategy. All of that stuff is going to go out of the window as soon as that first little right hand connects on his chin. And after that, we're going to have fun in there, baby, like I always do.
What Chris Eubank Jr. just said is, I think, a super important point. He's like, yeah, they're going to go and try to box. They're going to go and act like they're going to be technical from the outside behind the jab, but as soon as I land, he's going to throw that all out the window. And I actually think that's a good point. I think if Conor Benn truly has learned from the first fight, he'll be able to quell that fire, and you know it's in there, of losing to Chris Eubank Jr., of being close to, in his mind, close to knocking him out, and in his mind being the guy that damaged Chris Eubank Jr. more. So the moment that Eubank lands on him, maybe points a glove at him, taunts him a little bit, does Conor Benn stay within his composure? Does he stay locked into his game plan, or does that inexperience show again and he throws it out the window and we're going to have a scrap? That's something to watch. But that's the end of the press conference. Let's take a look at the face-off here. Nothing crazy in the face-off this time. Both guys kept their distance. No eggs, none of that. Maybe we'll get some crazy stuff on the next one, but I think a mutual understanding that we can't let them get too close. Chael Sonnen voice. But there you go. Nice little face-off. Again, it is crazy, the size difference. That's just height, but also the weight. Like, Conor doesn't even look close to the same weight class. There it is, man. What a press conference. What a kickoff press conference. And things did indeed kick off here. I want you guys to tell me in the comments below, what was your big takeaway from this thing? Was it the fact that Chris Eubank Jr. went off on not just Eddie Hearn, not just Conor Benn, but the British Boxing Board of Control? Alluded to some things being purposely done to keep him in the worst shape possible before the fight and after the fight. Conor Benn saying he's going to fight with less emotion and with more control, with more technique. Do you believe that? And even if so, can he overcome his last performance and the fact that Chris Eubank Jr. is going to have Bomac in the corner? I don't have any of these answers, but I know November 15th is going to be a classic, an instant classic, just like the first one is. Who wins? I don't have those answers, but guess we'll find out.
Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me.